That day shall not come, Paul gives one of the clearest end times warnings in all of Scripture, and it begins with deception. 2 Thessalonians 2:3 KJV. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. Paul is not speculating. He is correcting believers who thought the day of the Lord had already arrived, and notice what he does first. He anchors timing. 1. That day shall not come. Paul says there are events that must happen first, not symbols, not general trends, specific identifiable markers. 2 of them. 1. A falling away. 2. The revealing of the man of sin. That alone destroys the idea of an any moment, signless removal of the church. If the church were removed before these things, this warning would be meaningless. Why warn believers about recognizing the man of sin if they'll never be here to see him? 2. The falling away comes first. The Greek word apostasia means departure, but in Scripture it always refers to a departure from truth, not a physical rapture. This is a doctrinal collapse, a turning from sound teaching, a rejection of biblical authority. We are watching that happen in real time. Churches redefining sin, Christ minimized, the gospel diluted. Paul says this must precede the day of the Lord. 3. The man of sin must be revealed, not rising in secret, not guessed, not speculated. Revealed, identified, exposed. Paul continues in the chapter, saying this man will exalt himself as God and sit in the temple of God. This aligns perfectly with Daniel's abomination. Jesus' warning in Matthew 24. Revelation SB system. Paul is not contradicting Jesus. He's confirming him. 4. Now, what about the rapture? Now, what about the rapture? When reading Paul's letters, many people notice an interesting connection. In 1 Thessalonians 4 verses 16 and 17, Paul describes a moment when the Lord descends, a trumpet sounds, and believers are gathered to be with him. Jesus describes a similar moment in Matthew 24, using overlapping language and imagery. In both passages, we see the Lord appearing openly, a loud announcement, angelic activity, a trumpet, a gathering of God's people. Because of these similarities, many Bible readers study these passages side by side. Paul does not introduce this as a hidden or private moment, but as something clearly recognizable to believers familiar with Jesus' teachings. It is also worth noticing that Paul does not focus on timing speculation. Instead, in 2 Thessalonians, his emphasis is on believers staying grounded, thoughtful, and informed as events unfold. Same author, same letters, consistent themes. Why this matters: Paul's goal was understanding, not anxiety. He repeatedly encourages believers to remain steady, discerning, and confident in what they have been taught. When Scripture is read carefully and compared thoughtfully, it helps prevent confusion and unrealistic expectations. Rather than promising ease or escape, the focus remains on hope, faithfulness, and ultimately being with the Lord. A repeating biblical theme across the New Testament, a consistent picture appears. God remains in control, Christ returns openly, believers are gathered, God's promises are fulfilled. This approach is not about predicting dates or charts. It is about letting Scripture explain Scripture. One more thing Paul makes absolutely clear in 2 Thessalonians 2. The restrainer is still active. Paul says the mystery of iniquity is already at work, but something is holding it back until the appointed time. That tells us something crucial. The man of sin cannot rise early. The day of the Lord cannot start prematurely. And the return of Christ is not random. It is governed by God's restraint and God's timing. This also explains why Scripture repeatedly tells believers to watch, stand, and endure. Not panic, not speculate, not set dates, but to hold the line when deception increases. Paul never tells the church to look for an escape route. He tells us to recognize the counterfeit, to love the truth, and to stand fast in what we were taught. And when the restraint is lifted, when deception reaches its peak, when the man of sin is fully revealed, then Christ comes. Then the trumpet sounds. Then resurrection happens. Then the gathering takes place. Not 1 second early, not 1 second late. The church's hope is not avoiding the storm. It is knowing who stands at the end of it. In closing, the hope of the believer is not timing charts, it is Christ himself. And when he comes, it will no be a secret, it will not be silent, and it will not be early. It will be right on time.